Okay, I got my hand on a WoodTurners Wonders CBN grinding wheel. It says 1000, it's a 200. It's from a buddy of mine letting me borrow it. And it's in pretty good shape. Right now he's got a different tool on his so he said I could have this for a week to try. So let's give it a try. Okay, so I got the 200 grit WoodTurners Wonders CBN loaded up on my Tormek. You know, the way you put these on, I love this. This is the best design, simplicity, elegantly simple way to put wheels on with the Tormek. Almost makes the Tormek worth all the extra money just for that little item. Anyway, I got this set up. I've got some knives and some scissors here, and we're going to try to sharpen them on this and see what the deal is. I've already set up this armature wire. We've talked about this before. I freehand, so I'm not using jigs. I'm not using this. Well, actually, I do use this to set the armature wire. Just like you would do to get it, you set the size of your wheel. This one's set for a different wheel. The angle, you put it on your blade. You line up the bottom of this piece here flush with the blade, and you know, I've shown you in other videos. So when I stand up to this, I'm standing right here, and I line up the knife edge just like that. That's how I stay on track. That's a 15 degree. If I've got a knife that I want a 20 degree on, I just come down that far. And that's how it works. This armature wire, they sell this on Amazon. It's called armature wire. This is 1/4 inch. It's like a flexible aluminum bar that pretty much stays in place once you bend it. Sculptors use it as a framework to put their clay on. And then I've got it doubled over and just screw it down and it stays put. So that's how I do that. So let's get to sharp. Now I've used the regular the Tormek stones. I've gone through at least 12 of the standard stone, so this will probably feel a little weird. It feels good. Now, one thing about these CBN wheels, when I put my hand on this, it feels real smooth. This is a 200 grit. It still feels real smooth. It's the way it should feel. I didn't see this thing when it's new, but when I feel the sides, which are less used, they're rougher. And what I think the deal is that when they make them, just like sandpaper, belt sanders, all that stuff, there's some loud nuggets that are what you're feeling, and those wear away, not get chipped off, fracture, whatever they do on CBN, and it mellows them out. So, like for instance, if I was to sharpen on the side, which you can use this side to sharpen, it would sound much different than this. Here, let's see what it sounds like. Let me see how I can do this. You hear that versus this. And I suspect that's just what you expect. It's what I expect with my other CBN items that I've got. I've got some other wheels for serrated. When you first get them, they got the loud nuggets. You do a couple knives and they mellow out. It perceives to change the grit considerably. Your first couple knives may seem like it's a really coarse 200, but then it settles down. This feels pretty good. Definitely sounds different. Has a ring. You can really feel how flat it is. There's very flat. You know, there's no the whetstones. They change shape. Even if you are working them and keeping them flat, they change. This thing is very flat. You can feel it. Now I've got a bunch of different processes I do. I'm going to skip all that for right now. I'm going to try a few different knives on this. It feels pretty good. I thought it'd be weirder. I was wondering how the sharp edges on my Tormeks. I round this a little bit, and it lets you work little radiuses like this. I am getting a grind on that. That surprises me. It's a little sticky when I go on that, and you can see it here. If you look at this, you can tell that it's a sharper surface. It's not something with a round radius. It grabs a little bit right there. It smooths it out a little bit. This is where you can really feel how flat this is. This knife has a little bit of a low spot in here from previous sharpenings that I've done, and I haven't taken good care. I mean, this is my knife. I should have done a better job on it, but it's the one I don't use much. This is just a little high from where it should be. Finger guard should come down, but it needs a major thinning, and that's why I haven't been worrying about it too much. But when you go on the flatness, you can really tell when this side's on the wheel and this side's on the wheel, and it's hovering a little bit here. And I can tell I'm going to get kind of an ugly end because of this sharp corner. It's not going to let me radius it like it does when you can radius the wheel. But let me see what I can do here. Let me get this high area out of it. Okay, that's pretty good. Now when I saw this wheel, let me stop this thing. When I saw this wheel, what I was concerned about is how square it is. There's no radius here. And when I do my my Tormek wheels, I ease the sides a little bit. And that little bit of a radius really gives you a lot of latitude, because you can, not just that it matches that radius, but you can move across that radius and get a contour. So this knife here, what the sharp corner gives you is something like that. Now that's 2 steps. I need to get that second step out of there. I got stuck on that. So it gives you that hard line. Maybe that's what you go for. I'd rather be able to radius that into the you know, this part of the knife, float that in. And all it would take would be a little 1/8 of an inch radius on this. So this knife has a bit of a curve here. Now, I could just sharpen to there, that's fine. But you try to smooth this out, and I imagine this is gonna be, but man, this is flat. That's pretty smooth. That's not so bad. Can you see that? That's not bad. I wonder what would happen with like a hook bill pocket knife or paring knife, or the recurves the Shun has, where it curves one way, stops, and then curves the other way. God, that you probably couldn't do that on this stone. But that is pretty smooth. That surprises me. Okay, now I've got these kitchen scissors. I don't do sewing scissors on a grindstone. I do it on twice as sharp. But for kitchen scissors, this is fine. So I'm gonna freehand this. Okay, so what you do when you do this, you get the right angle. It's pretty tricky, but I got it. I didn't embarrass myself. I've got to burr the whole length. Leave that burr. Go to the other side and do the same thing. Sometimes you miss the angle. This really cuts fast. Okay, so now I've got a burr on both sides, and simply by closing them, you cut the burr off. When you've cut it, it feels real rough, and then it's real smooth after that. This is pretty good. I mean, this is really an aggressive wheel. I'm surprised for 200 grit. Okay, so here's the deal now. I'm going to take this to my markets and I'm going to use it a little bit, and we'll see how it works. I've seen a little dust come off this. I'm going to fashion. I've got a couple rare earth magnets. I'm going to fashion one that'll mount over here. Let me get that. Bear with me. So this is my little quickie magnet rig. You can see this is about a 1 inch by 1 inch by 3/8 inch rare earth magnet. I believe it's a 25 pounds. If you stick it down on a piece of steel and you lift it, it takes 25 pounds to lift it off. I see there's metal shavings on it already. I'm going to take those metal shavings off it so that we can see how much it's collecting. And this here is where I sharpen, and so it'll be throwing everything right at this magnet. Let's see how that works. By the way, I just bent it, stuck it in there with a piece of wood to pinch it. Very jerry-rigged, but it should work fine. Okay, so I'm at my first farmer's market. I have 2 this weekend. And sure enough, in my first order, I got a hook bill knife. This was my biggest concern with this stone. So I'm trying it the conventional way. And as I do it, it's actually much easier to do than I expected. I mean, the only downside is you're only touching the 2 corners. So it requires, you know, a smooth pass to not make it steppy. And you're not contacting that much stone, so it's a little slower. This is the other option I thought I would try, and it was pretty awkward for me. I could assuredly get the hang of it, but my angles were off. It was just hard to get it right because I just wasn't used to it. The fact that the scratch marks are going the wrong direction, that's kind of irrelevant because I go to a 4,000 stone afterwards anyway, and that'll all go away. But this would work. Then I just started going through knives. I did about 250 knives over the weekend, and I was very comfortable pretty quick. The dust wasn't a problem. If you look at my magnet, this is at the very beginning of the market, and that magnet's already getting pretty thick with the dust. By the end of the market, it looked like a fuzzy tennis golf ball, I should say. It really caught a lot of the material coming off the knives. The flatness of the stone is fabulous. I love how completely flat it is. If it had just slightly eased corners, I'd love the stone even more, but I think it's pretty good. I really got the hang of it and was feeling very comfortable with it. And it just doesn't change size. If you had a couple of these, it'd be so easy to do chisels and the like, not having wheels that are the varying sizes, varying diameters. That'd be a real advantage. You know, get rid of a lot of problems. But anyway, I was happy. I'm going to have to check into getting me one of these. Okay, so the week's up. I've done about 200 knives on this guy, and I think I'm going to get me one of these things. I finished this knife out, and here's the best perk of this is how flat the edge is. It is laser flat, and it stays laser flat, and I had no idea how much benefit that would be. So like I did this knife, and if you know, it's hard for you to see from the angle, but the shape of the edge is so nice. When your wheel can get, you know, ruts and movement, even though if it looks flat, it does have a little bit of that. It hinders you from getting it as nice as this came out. I mean, I really like it. I searched around and I didn't see any other brands of this that had a radius, because I would prefer the radius, but I'll keep my eyes peeled. I contacted WoodTurners and asked them about that, and they said they used to have a radius and they've been talking about putting a radius back on. I mean, one of the things is, you know, it's WoodTurners Wonders, and most of their business is for chisels and stuff, and you don't need a radius for that stuff. Plain, you know, all the wood turning tools, and it's just not necessary. But for knife sharpening, it would help out. So I'll keep my eyes peeled for that. So this baby's going to go back to my buddy, and my knife's going to go back in my block, and you'll see me with one of these guys. So there you go. By the way, this is make sure you understand this is a 200 grit, and I think the 200 grit's a perfect first grit. I see that they make these in a 1000 and 1200. I'd probably think a 1200 would be a real good final wheel if you were going to get a pair of them. You know, one of the nice things is that they'll stay the same diameter. So if you're doing chisels and stuff, the worst thing is when you've got one stone's one size, one stone's another side. You just can't go from stone to stone. You have to do the regrading of the stone. Having these guys, if you've got a Tormek where it's such a quick change out, you don't have to deal with water tray up and down. You just put one wheel on, spin the nut, pull it off, put the other one on. It'd be faster than regrading a stone. So that might be the way to do it. It might be something I consider. If they had a 2000 grit, I'd probably get rid of my Japanese stone on my Tormek. But I haven't seen one like that. So anyway, there you go. CBN. I dig it.